if you as the founder are in charge and responsible for everything, even if you have members of your team, if you've got staff, I know business owners that have got staff and yet they're still doing 99% of the work themselves. And if they're not doing all of the work, they're retaining all of the information in their head, which then means that they're having challenges with getting their staff to do the things in the way they want them to be done, because they're not communicating and sharing in the way that it needs to be shared, and they're doing everything manually.
You talk of system, and of course, I'm trying to see how it sort of overlap into the strategy, because now you're talking of the process, how the team function, how the team works. So you are essentially saying you need to develop this system so that I'm trying to see a kind of a pitfall for people who might just look at a system from somebody and copy it and then try to put it in their own business. Will that work?
If you are in business, I really implore you to think big, to take action, and to keep pushing. I really implore you to take a moment to really consider what it is that you want and allow yourself to think big, to really consider what you need to be taking action on to enable you to achieve the vision and the goals that you want. And that may be taking action on building the systems. It may be taking action on hiring me. And to keep pushing. In business, we face obstacles. We face roadblocks, and it can be difficult and it can feel quite overwhelming. And I really just want to encourage you to keep pushing it beyond your present circumstances. My name is Daniella Genas. I am a business growth strategist, coach, consultant, and founder of Be the Boss International. I am based in the UK in a city called Birmingham, originally, born in Birmingham, but raised in a city called Nottingham. So if anybody has heard of Robin Hood, that's where he came from. That's where I was raised. I'm of Jamaican ancestry, very proudly Jamaican, but British born, married to a Nigerian, and I have two beautiful girls. And I'm very, very, very passionate about business, about supporting entrepreneurs and founders to grow and scale their businesses, but specifically to do it in a way that doesn't burn them out, that gives them autonomy, time freedom, and the opportunity to kind of live a balanced life. And I've been running this business for a few years. Prior to this business, I ran a social enterprise for 8 years before selling it due to a range of circumstances. I took everything that I learned from that business, both the successes and the failures, to implement a framework that I use with my clients called the VISA framework, which stands for Vision, Innovation, Strategy, Systems and Processes, or Systemization, and Accountability. And I've used that framework to support countless entrepreneurs and founders to do what I said at the top, which is to grow and scale their businesses and to achieve some sort of or some form of time freedom so that their business is not kind of becoming a chore, and enabling them to take holidays, to take days off, as well as making money. So that's kind of a little bit about me.
Now, let's learn a little bit more about you. Actually, we do take the time to learn more about the people here, particularly those that are of African ancestry. For us, it's important. Now, tell me, so you were born in Jamaica, right?
No, I was born in the
I
UK,
were
but
born in
to
the UK.
Jamaican,
All right.
to
Okay.
Jamaican family. So I say I'm a British-born Jamaican of African ancestry.
Mhm.
I've done my DNA and found that I am 47.7% Nigerian, 14% Kenyan, 27% Sierra Leonean, and we're not going to talk about the rest. So I so I
It's okay.
identify heavily. I
Well,
identify heavily with Nigeria.
that's good. That's good. Of course, you are married to a Nigerian too. That is very.
Yes,
You are welcome to the family.
thank you.
All right. So tell me a little. You growing up in the UK, what do you see around yourself? That is important for me.
So, as a young girl growing up, particularly in the city that I grew up, there weren't many, what I would say, people that looked like me that were in business. There weren't many people that I saw around me doing anything that would be deemed today entrepreneurial. People had jobs, but nobody was really running successful businesses. But from a very young age, despite the circumstances kind of around me, I always had very grand aspirations, which was in part due to what my parents instilled in me. And my parents always kind of drilled into me that I was going to be a success one way or the other. Um, Looking around, however, particularly kind of school, college days, there was a lot of deprivation. I did grow up in an inner city community. So the kind of standard things, teenage pregnancies, kind of low aspirations, that kind of thing. But I always kind of saw beyond that. My parents were mature students. They went to university when I was in my kind of pre-teens, and I saw the impact of them going to university. I saw the impact that it had on our family in terms of our kind of a bit our change in, I don't want to say social class, but going from not having much money to actually we're okay now. So I always saw education as a means to advancing yourself and developing yourself. So as probably from like my early teens, I was very clear that I was going to go to university. After I put down my aspiration of being a singer, dancer, rapper, which was something that I was very much interested in my early days, and wanted at one point to go to performing arts school, but realized actually that's not necessarily for me. So instead, I moved to Birmingham to pursue a career in media. So I did an undergrad degree in media and communications, specifically focusing on television and radio production. So I wanted to be either a TV or a radio presenter. And university for me was really eye-opening, life-changing. Growing up, I was very shy, which is also contributes to why I was never going to be a performing artist. It was an absurd idea because I was painfully shy. But when I went to university, I really kind of, my mom says I broke out and I suddenly found my voice. For a number of reasons, I was surrounded by very confident women. There was a group of women that I was friends with that were really quite just very confident and self-assured, and that rubbed off on me a lot. Also, on my degree program, one of the key things that we had to do very frequently is to do regular presentations, and that really helped to boost my confidence, particularly when I started to get really good feedback and people saying, actually, Daniela, you're pretty good at this. Um, and whilst at university, I started organizing events and realized I was very good at securing sponsorship for those events and really picked up a knack of getting organizations to give me stuff, whether that be money, whether that be product, whether that be free marketing. But I was really, really good at it and really enjoyed it actually. Once I finished university, I spent about a year jumping from job to job, realized actually this is not for me. I don't want to work. I'm not interested in working. It's not something that I'm going to do. And decided within a year to start my own business. And initially went into business with three of my university friends. Didn't work out. Within another year, the business had gone from us four co-founders to just me. And we didn't know what we were doing. I didn't know what I was doing either. So I said I was in business, but was I really in business? When I look back on it, I wasn't really in those early stages very clear on what I was doing at all. But over the years, I kind of found my feet and was able to grow the business quite rapidly actually. To I had a team of staff. We at one point had a six-figure turnover, but still wasn't necessarily clear on the direction we were going. And one of my main challenges was really getting clear on who my ideal target customer or client was, how I was going to achieve sales for the business. We were very heavily reliant on government funding and grants, and not necessarily building up lots of revenues through commercial means. I recognized and acknowledged that and went through the process of trying to fix it, um, but didn't necessarily do the best job at that either. And went on to sell the business. And it was through kind of that process that I learned kind of so many lessons. And going back to the original question, just to bring it full circle, what did I grow up seeing throughout that whole period? One of the things that I would say, so from childhood all the way to kind of selling my business, one of the things that I always felt was missing was kind of business owners that were really kind of doing commercial business that were turning over large figures, but were within grasp, within my reach. Um, it was there were people that were doing stuff, but there wasn't anybody that I had within my network that were doing kind of successful systematic business, if that makes sense. And I really struggled, particularly when I was running that business, to find kind of guidance from people that looked like me, that also had run a business, also was able to give me the kind of frameworks, the strategies that I needed. So there were some people that were advising me that had ran businesses before, but then it the way they had done it worked for them and their business and their industry. They weren't able to tell me how to do something similar in my own. But then there were also people that had studied business, but then they didn't understand the experience of practically running a business because they had never run a business. So I always kind of felt that there was this missing gap. And this was 2015 when I sold the business. So when I first started, it was 2007. And now, when you look around, everyone is a business coach, and there's consultants, and there's strategists, and there's all these entrepreneurs and founders everywhere. But that wasn't something that was really prevalent at that time. This was kind of before Instagram days, for example. I'd say probably before X or Twitter. And if it wasn't before then, it was in the very early days of that. So it wasn't the same as now. You can log on to Instagram, and there's loads of people around. It wasn't like that then. So I've always felt kind of like something was missing. And that was one of the things that spurred me on and inspired me to start my current business, so that I could be for people like me what I needed and couldn't find when I had started my first business, when I was a child, when I was a teenager at college, and when I was a student at university.
Thank you so much for that. This is really an important conversation, and also important service to our community, because, like you rightly pointed out, there are a lot of people out there that are looking for who to learn from. Because if you have been there as a business person yourself, you are not teaching people how to start better, it is highly advantageous for them because you look like them. So when you share with them your experiences, it's more valid than somebody maybe that doesn't look like it, even though they might have the same qualification and the same value. There is a lot of difference at the end of the day. So yes, the community need you. They need more people who are able to show them the way. This is how life is essentially.
hmm No, and I agree. And I think what is also important. So I definitely I have an affinity working with women, also women of color, people of color generally. But I'm not exclusive to our community. But I think it's beneficial that people from our community who are looking to grow their businesses can see examples around them of other people that look like them that have done it, and can also access support, advice, guidance from people that understand the cultural nuances. So in my journey of starting and growing my business, there's certain things that I know that, and not every single person from the Black community, because let's remember, we've got the Caribbean Black community, we've got African Black community, there's different cultural experiences. But from a Caribbean British perspective, one of the things that has always been I've always been very aware of is a lot of us don't come from much money. And actually starting a business without being able to go to family and friends and asking for a loan, or getting kind of that startup capital or growth capital, it can be really tough. And then when you see other communities saying, oh, I started a business and so gave me 20K and that's how I did it, that can be quite disheartening. And I have that kind of cultural awareness to understand that experience. Also, just general kind of nuances of what it feels like to be a Black woman or a Black person running a business, whether it's for the community or it's for anyone. Not everybody can relate to that experience, whereas I can. And I think that does give me an advantage as it pertains to working with Black business owners and Black founders specifically.
All right. Thank you for that. Again, that is an insight that is important. Now, other than that, because we are going to be talking largely about growth strategy, because this is the area that you pay a lot of attention to. Tell me more about the challenges that you see most businesses having within the African diaspora community, or if you like, the audience that you are serving.
So the audience that I'm serving, as I said, it's beyond. It's not just within the kind of African diaspora. I work with people from the Asian community. I work with European, Caucasian, white people. I work with everyone. But by virtue of the fact that I'm Black, I attract a lot of people that are Black. And therefore, I'm able to kind of look and see some of the trends. But actually, some of the trends also apply to women of all backgrounds. I guess it's that kind of thing of if you're from a community of deemed disadvantaged or an oppressed background, which women are, irrespective of whether you're Black, white, or whatever, as in addition to being from a global majority background. One of the things that I often see is an unassuredness. So a lack of confidence in ability, a lack of confidence in the potential of the business to scale to significant heights. And that's something that I always find quite sad to see, particularly when I see people with fantastic business ideas, and fantastic businesses, kind of burgeoning businesses, that if they just put the right things in place and they believed in the possibility of them kind of hitting the seven figure turnover, um, if they just believed in it, they'd accelerate their growth at a much faster pace. But because they're unsure, because they're uncertain, because they lack confidence, they keep prices low. They don't necessarily always go after the big enough opportunities. One of the other issues, and this again goes kind of across the board for many small businesses of all backgrounds, lack of systems. And this is something that can really be very detrimental to a business that's trying to grow and scale. If you, as the founder, are in charge and responsible for everything, even if you have members of your team, if you've got staff, I know business owners that have got staff and yet they're still doing 99% of the work themselves. And if they're not doing all of the work, they're retaining all of the information in their head, which then means that they're having challenges with getting their staff to do the things in the way they want them to be done, because they're not communicating and sharing in the way that it needs to be shared, and they're doing everything manually. So lack of kind of core internal systems, documented procedures and processes, standard operating procedures, very simple things like checklists, templates, how-to guides, just completely missing. Everything's just in their head, and that is a significant issue. Also, pricing, which I've kind of already alluded to, but kind of not pricing based on value and not including all costs. This is something that I talk about all the time. So, for example, particularly because I work with service businesses more so than product businesses, service business is my kind of key area of expertise. And something that I often find is business owners, and this is particular or specific to business areas from the Black community, often don't incorporate all of the costings when they're looking at pricing. Now, I feel like you should price on value, but many people don't. They price on time. And that in itself means that the number is always going to be small. But then also, you're not including all of your time. And I have this conversation time and time again. And somebody will say to me, well, the workshop or the whatever it is takes 2 hours. I charge £100 an hour. So I've charged them £200. And they think that that is a good thing. And I'm like, well, how long did it take you to prepare the workshop? Well, it took 3 hours. Well, that's £300. Did you have to do any follow-up afterwards? Yeah, I had to do X, Y, and Z. How long did that take? It took an hour. Well, that's £400. So actually, you've lost £400. And people genuinely, when I speak to many people, don't seem to quite get the fact that your time is worth money. And if you're not properly pricing your services, what you'll find is that money will come into your business, but you're going to be running around like a headless chicken trying to do all of this work and not being paid properly for it. And also, when you start to take on staff, the staff want to be paid for those 4 hours that you didn't account for. And now you are operating at a loss. So there's some of the key challenges that I see a lot of the time, and also a lack of kind of direction. So one of the reasons I focused initially with the VISA framework on vision is because there's a lot of people running businesses that don't have any idea what direction they're trying to take the business in. It's very much, oh, I'm trying to hit this specific financial number, or I want to be a success, which is very loose. It doesn't mean anything. So I work with them initially with pretty much all of my clients, whatever they come in to do, we always start with vision. Where are you trying to get to? And really specifying that, getting specificity, because otherwise you're just going in any direction, saying yes to any opportunity and anything without knowing if it aligns to the vision, because you don't have one.
But are there a reason why maybe more people within the diaspora community might be having this challenge? Okay, let's say businesses in general, because businesses in general, then we include the people in the diaspora community, because I think maybe there are some things that are really peculiar to us, I know, but there are some things that are sort of general to everybody at the end of the day. So, talking of the lack of vision, because we also talk of the lack of confidence. Okay, maybe in this case now we're looking more at the diaspora community. Are there things that are maybe responsible for this lack of vision when people are starting out in business?
I think there's a few contributing factors. One, often we are told that we cannot. Um, you can't, you're not going to be able to run a successful business, go and get a job. Now, if it's been drilled into your head to go and get a job and businesses fail and you're looking around and there's not many people that you know personally firsthand that have run a successful business, then it's very easy to let those kind of naysayers get into your head. And if that's what your belief system is, and that's what you're internalizing, how are you going to have a big vision? It's not really going to work. But also, we haven't been taught how to think big. And I feel that that's something that is very much problematic within the kind of diaspora communities that, yeah, like who says that you should think big? And actually, not only have we not been taught to, we've been taught the opposite. If you are thinking too big, you're told that you think that you're better than other people. Who do you think you are? So it's kind of frowned upon and also if you're looking at it from a more spiritual or religious perspective within the diaspora communities, there's a lot of Christian people, and we're told money is the root of all evil. You shouldn't want to be pursuing money. And therefore, there's another reason not to think big and have a big vision. Um, and then there's not necessarily always the right support and guidance in the early stages to say, actually, it's really important to have a clear vision, because sometimes people will say, yeah, I've got vision. And then I start asking 2 or 3 questions and it's very clear. You don't really have a proper vision. You have kind of a big dream of what you want to achieve, but there's no clarity on this. These are the exact things that I want to achieve in this time frame. This is how I'm going to do it. And these are the strategies I'm going to employ. It's very much, as I said before, like I want to hit, not even I want to hit 1 million, like I want to hit 6 figures and I'll be happy. I don't want to think too big because then it might not happen. So I think it's fear, and fear born out of the kind of messages that have been indoctrinated into us from a young age.
Thank you so much for that. Now, I think clarity is going to be very important for us, for many people in businesses. Now, how do you get clear in business?
Well, there's a few things. One, you work with me and I'll help you get it. But I also think it's really important. And so in the VISA framework, the final A stands for accountability. I think one of the key things is finding people, whether it's me, whether it's a coach, whether it's a mentor, whether it's being part of a mastermind. If you have people that you need to kind of report to, it forces you to get some clarity or to seek out that clarity, because when you're having to explain yourself to people, if you're not able to explain yourself, then you can clearly see something is wrong. But a lot of the time, people in business just try and work it out themselves. And when you're just trying to work it out yourself on your own, it's going to be very difficult for you to get the clarity that you need. Sometimes you need outside eyes and ears to really kind of question the rationale, the logic behind maybe some of the things that you're saying that you want to do. But I think also another kind of key thing that I always encourage, not necessarily my clients, but people within my kind of social community to do, is to really stop and think what it is that you really want. Like, what do you want to achieve with your business? So, kind of moving away from how much money do you want to make, and I think money is very important. Like, I want to make a lot of money in my business, so I think that's important. But what do you want your business to achieve? But also, what do you want your role within that to be? So when I speak about, for example, building a business that doesn't burn you out, building a business that relies on systems and not you, that's because I'm very clear, and I have been very clear for a while on what I want my business to do. And I want my business to generate revenues for me and to make a significant profit that I can draw out and use to go and do the things that I want to do. I want to make a difference in the lives of the business owners that I work with, and kind of do that across not just the UK, but internationally. But I also want to spend time with my family. I want to sit on the beach and sip cocktails. I want to do international speaking engagements. I want to be able to have the time and the headspace to write books, not one book, many books. How can I do that if I build a business that requires me to be in an office from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., which some people do. Some people are in their offices at 5 a.m. and don't leave until midnight and get 2 hours sleep and then they're back to work because they've not been intentional with how they've planned for their vision. The business has run them as opposed to them running the business. Getting clarity, the first point of call is deciding what do you want your business to achieve and what is your role within it. And I have something called a Vision 20 process that I take my clients through in about 20 questions to really drill down and to really get razor sharp clarity on this. And sometimes what happens is we go through all of the questions and they start saying that they want a specific thing. But then when we stop and actually say, well, based on what you've said, that would require you to be in the business X amount of time. Is this feasible? Is this plausible? And actually, if it's not, then you may need to change the business model, or you're going to have to change the vision. Often it's we need to change the business model because actually the vision is what people really truly want. So it's really about looking at what your heart desires. I had a conversation with somebody, I think it was last year, someone I know that's in business that works all the time. Like they work 7 days a week, often from very early in the morning to very late at night. And they've got 2 children. And I said, like, where's the balance? Like, you need to find some balance because you get away all the time. Your kids are they're not going to see you. And I'll never forget, he turned and said to me, well, my children will benefit from the money and my grandchildren will benefit from my time. And I remember just thinking, like, what a really bizarre thing to think as a father, because actually, if you're not giving your children time, who's to say you're going to have a relationship with them for them to then want you to have anything to do with their children? It's a big assumption. Who says you're going to live to even see those children, those grandchildren? And he probably does have a vision, to be honest, and his vision is his vision. But I think some people get caught in the trap of how he's working without acknowledging the fact that actually my kids are not. I'm not going to build a strong relationship with my children. I'm not going to get to see them, or my partner, or my mom, or whoever it is, or whatever it is that is important to you. And by the time they kind of realize, it's because they realize actually I'm already too deep in, I'm too far in. So a lot of the clients that I work with are those people that are in their business and realize that actually I don't have time for the things that I need to have time for and I want to have time for. So then they come to me to help them kind of systemize the business, to get clarity on that vision, how they can start working towards it in a way that doesn't take them away from the things that they love and the things that bring them joy. So yeah, it's really about understanding what it is that you want, how you need to build your business to achieve it, and then getting the accountability, the support, the guidance to help you achieve it. I spoke to somebody, I reached out to somebody recently on LinkedIn. I've got a new program that I'm launching soon, and I asked if they'd be interested, and the person responded and said, I don't need any help because I'm a self-motivated doer, which I thought was a really funny response. I did actually write a post about it because I just thought that was a very peculiar response. Because actually, many of us are self-motivated doers. If you've started a business, 9 times out of 10, you're a self-motivated doer. You have to be, because you've gone out and started your own business. However, on a practical day-to-day, month-to-month, quarter to quarter, year to year basis, there's so much going on that actually sometimes you lose track of certain things. You may not necessarily spend that time that you need really getting the clarity that you desperately need and probably want as well, and actually getting some support. And I think many people probably think like this lady does think, like, I know everything, I don't need any help. If I admit that I need help, then that shows that I'm not infallible. And actually, nobody's a robot. We're all human beings. And if you want to achieve business success and you want to get clarity on where you're going and how to get there, sometimes you need to ask for help. And sometimes that's the only way to achieve what needs to be achieved.
It's not only in business that we need help. We need help always. You see,
Hmm.
if you are going to compete in a marathon, even though you are very good, even though you might be very good, you still need help. This is the way it's supposed to
Yeah.
be.
Hmm.
I believe
I
that.
should have responded like that to
Please,
the
please
lady,
go,
actually.
go, go.
I was saying that's what I should have said, because actually elite athletes, the best in the world, have coaches and work with trainers. So are you better than the elite athletes and the, do you know what I mean? Is it, people are very strange at times. And as you said, like one of the examples I gave the other day, I was doing a live and I was saying, actually, it- again, as you just said, it applies to every area of your life. If you are struggling to lose weight, or if you want to get into, you may not even be struggling to lose weight, you just want to get into peak performance, you would go and work as, if you can afford it, you'd go and work with a personal trainer. If you wanted to write a book, you'd go and find an editor. Like in every kind of area, if you want your hair to look great and you're not a hairdresser, you go and I can do hair, but I still go to the hairdresser to get my hair done, because as good as I am at doing my own hair, I'm not a hairdresser. So yeah, it applies to every area. But I think for some reason in business, it's very strange, because as you said, in every other area, I think people acknowledge something wrong with my car, take it to the mechanic because I need it to be fixed. But in business, something's wrong with my business, I just have to keep going and fighting and working it out on my own. Well, you could, and then you could end up burnt out, losing your business, losing money. Just go and invest the time and the money if required to get help and get accountability to push you to the next level. And I practice what I preach. So I throughout my entrepreneurial journey this time round, and even in the first time round I tried, but I've achieved it this time. I've worked with a range of different coaches in a range of different areas and a range of different specialist consultants. At the moment, as we speak, I'm part of a group accelerator program and have a coach as part of that. And as a consequence of that, the this month and the previous month I had my best sales month in, I don't like, in forever, and this month I've had my best cash month. That's not because of just me, it's because of the support, the accountability, the kind of strategic advice that my coach has given me. And this is what I do strategy, but even I need someone outside of myself to look in and say, actually, Daniel, that's great, but have you considered this?
Looking at that particular client, okay, not only a client, the person you was speaking with, no, who is doing odd things alone. There are many people like that in the diaspora, and of course in the business world. Sometimes we say we don't have somebody to teach us, but sometimes we also have the problem of the mentality of thinking that we don't really maybe need it, or maybe we cannot afford it without going in detail to find out if what really is holding us back is the money or is the mindset. So when you have individual like that is working in the business, maybe is doing everything alone, maybe they even have good idea, but they don't have clarity, therefore they're not able to move forward. If you were to audit that kind of business, where do you usually start from?
Um, Usually we start from mindset, because actually mindset really is the key to unlocking everything. And if you can kind of understand what those mindset blockers are, then we can understand what we need to kind of break down to help you achieve the breakthroughs that you want and need. What I always say is I take a multi faceted approach. So I don't call myself a business growth strategist by accident. I could have called myself a coach or a consultant, but I don't, because I do all of those things. And the mindset element, even if I'm doing a consultancy piece of work, so there's a package that is pretty much purely consultancy, where we do the business systemization, but we always start with, where are you at right now? What has prevented you from moving forward? What is going to prevent you from implementing these things when we start working through them? So just really understand where they're at, and then start to look at how do we break down those barriers so that the work that I do with them then becomes useful and implementable. And also, because I don't want to work with people that are not going to implement, because then if you don't implement, then you're not going to achieve the kind of promises that I make, and therefore that looks bad on me. So very early, like in the very early stage when we do our sales calls, that's what I'm trying to uncover very quickly. Like, what is it that's been preventing you from taking action on these things, and what potentially could prevent you from implementing? And I don't take on every client. There's some people that I have conversations with and I say, actually, I don't think that we're a good fit because I can see and I know that they're not going to implement. And there's been times where I've kind of ignored my own intuition and I've turned the person into a project, like I'm gonna make this work. And it doesn't work because we're not able to kind of overcome those mindset blocks. I remember one particular client that I had previously, and she said it many, many times. And when she first said it, I thought it was funny, but then it became like a thing where she said she doesn't even really want to do the business. She just wants to find a rich man to marry and stop working. And yeah, like in the initial stages, I was like, haha, that's so funny. But what then started to happen is she wasn't implementing and then she was still making the joke. So like, have you done this that you're supposed to do? No. But you know me, Daniela, I just want to find a rich man. And I'm just like, well, clearly you don't want to make this business work. Like that's clear from the fact that you're not doing anything and you keep saying this thing over and over and over again. And by the time we ended the kind of program, she hadn't really moved that much further forward. So one of the things that I am very clear on now is we need to start with mindset first. And if that is going to be too much of a challenge, as much as I can do mindset work and I definitely do support people with mindset work, my main focus is kind of on the other stuff. So if it's gonna be too hard for us to break down that first bit, what I often will do as well is I will recommend people to go and speak to a therapist because actually sometimes there's just too much going on. And before we can move forward to even look at the business, you need to go and address the issues that you're having personally. And I've done that on more than one occasion and it's worked. And I've had people go to the therapist and then come back to me. And then now we can start doing the work on the business.
That's a good one. That's a good one. All right. Now, you mentioned the word system a number of occasions. And I think this is also one of the centerpiece of what you do. What does
Mhm.
that even mean? System in business.
So within your business, there's specific ways that you do things, right? We often don't attribute them to anything other than this is the way that we do things. Then you hire someone and you try to tell them to do something and you don't provide them with the system of how to do it. They do it in a way that you don't like and then you blame the person when actually you need to blame yourself. And I'm very straight to the point when I say this to my client. If you haven't implemented the right systems to support and facilitate that work, then it is not the problem of the staff member, it's the problem of the business, which essentially is you. So your systems are kind of the sequence of processes or a number of processes that come together to form how you do specific things. So for example, you would have your sales system. Your sales system may include appointment booking on your website for sales calls. It may include the script of how to conduct a sales call. There may be then automated workflows within that to send follow-up emails to confirm, and all of that would form part of your kind of sales system. What we often don't do as small business owners is we don't take the time to build out those systems. We just keep them in our head. What I do is I go in and we document all of the processes and then look at how those processes integrate to form specific systems. And it may be that you need specific software or tools to enhance, improve, um, automate specific systems within the business. But many business owners don't know where to start. They don't even know that this is a thing that should be done. And then instead end up having all of these nightmare issues with employees because the employees don't know the system because there isn't a system. Um, or don't even get to the point of getting employees, just are running ragged, running themselves ragged, trying to do everything themselves. And actually, that's not a great way to run a business. It's not effective, it's not efficient, it's not sustainable, and it's not profitable. When you have robust systems, so kind of specific groups of standard operating procedures of how to do specific things, you're then able to see if they're the most efficient ways of doing things. And if they're not, then you can improve them. Once you then improve them, if you take something from 24 hours to 1 hour, you've just saved 23 hours in the business. That boosts profitability, which means you're going to make more money and make more profit, which means you're going to retain more money in your business. And also it means that you get more time back that you can then spend to do whatever it is that you want to do, whether it's to do more kind of cash generating activities within your business, or to take some time out of the business to relax and chill. Many business owners that I speak to have the same issue. I'm doing too much. I don't have enough time. And I ask them, what are the kind of key systems that are integral to the kind of growth and the operations of your business? And they don't know. And it's important that you know, and it's important that they're documented. It's important that you look at automations to save time. It's even more important, well, not even more, but it's equally as important that you have the documentation and resources to support and underpin those systems. And yeah, it's something that I think that there's lots of people, you see loads of people online talking about, let's grow your business, let's scale your business, let's get you 1 million followers on Instagram. I can create this fantastic ebook for you, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. But for many businesses, if your business suddenly got an influx of clients, the chances are you wouldn't be able to manage them if you don't have the right systems in place to support that influx of clients. And I've seen this happen to businesses before, particularly businesses that may have got some great PR for their companies. They get some PR, and then all of a sudden, lots of kind of inquiries come in, and the non-existent systems buckle under the pressure. So, for example, a website crashes because it's not been designed to take so many hits at one time. But because there was no system to say, okay, when we do any sort of PR activity, this is what we need to do behind the scenes, step by step. This is how we need to facilitate this. Nobody's got anything documented or listed or how to, and therefore everything falls down. And people think, oh, money is the main issue in my business. And often money is the main issue in people's business. Cash or lack thereof, cash is really key. But again, if you suddenly got 20 sales this week, would your business be able to manage under the pressure of it? So actually, cash is important, but you need to have the systems internally to facilitate that. But also, you need to build the systems that will generate the cash in the first place. And again, a lot of people in business, well, I don't want to keep generalizing. Some, not a lot, well, maybe a lot, but many, many business owners that I personally come in contact with, let me just speak for that. They don't have any specific system for generating sales in their business. There's no method, there's no process, there's no strategy. So the method, the process, the strategy, all of those things kind of come together with the tools, with the resources, with the documentation, with all of that and any automations, then creates the system.
Thank you so much for that. That is really highly valuable. So essentially, what you're saying now is that because you did make mention of also of maybe the excuse somebody might give to you as to why they are not having a system or why they have not developed a system that maybe they don't have money to do that. And then you responded to say, but if you have a system that can even help you to generate income for your business.
And this is the thing.
Yeah.
And also, I think the time thing is so important, because actually one of the things that I say is, if you work with me, I will give you, in our first 2-hour session, I will help you get back between 4 to 12 hours of your time in our first session. Because the first thing that I do is do an audit of where you're spending the most time, where are the biggest issues in terms of kind of time being spent, and what can we automate. And as soon as we've done that, there's so much time that's saved. Now that time, if I give you back 4 hours, what can you go and do to generate additional revenues with an extra 4 hours a week? But if it's 12 hours, what could you do with 12 hours a week to make more money in your business? A whole lot. So actually saying I don't have the money is fine. But actually, when are you going to get the money? How are you going to get the money if you don't have the system? So sometimes you have to spend to get a return. And also, you need to take the time out. And this is the thing. People say to me, oh, well, I'll do it when the business hits this specific amount. Well, number one, it's going to take you longer to hit that specific amount if mayhem and disorder and there's no structure in your business to help you. And also remember, clarity and vision. If you don't have those things in place, it's going to take you much, much longer. It's not necessarily impossible, but it's going to take you longer to hit that point. You may not make it, because when your business is disorganized and lacks structure, it's much more prone and more likely that you're going to kind of run into a cash flow issue. or kind of any other kind of major issue that could then lead to the business going into kind of demise. But then also you need to make sure that if you want to get this stuff done, it's much easier to get it done before you get to the kind of those big numbers, because when you get to those big numbers, the stakes are higher, and therefore you're going to have less time to take out of the business to work on the business. So I always say to people that say, oh, well, I'll come back at this point. At that point, it's going to be too late. Come now. Like the best time to do it was yesterday, but the next best time is right now, today, this minute. So that's something I think that is also important. So for people that are in the startup phase, so I often work with people that are in this kind of growth phase, but I always say for people in the startup phase, do it now. Everything that you do in your business, write it down step by step. Every day, look at something that you can automate, look at a resource that you can develop, whether that's a script, a template, a how-to guide, a checklist, a screen record of how you do something. Do that now, because now you have the time. You think that you don't because you're hustling and you're trying to make money and get the business off the ground, but you have way more time now than you will when you hit £100,000 turnover and you've got 30 clients to service.
Thank you so much for that. In fact, I was just thinking in my head that what do you recommend? Where do you recommend that people should? Of course, you already responded to that, so I'm not going to ask you the question again. Which is, should we think of the system when the business is already taking off, or maybe at the beginning stage of it? I think people paying attention to you already have gotten the answer now. That actually is the foundation. Is the foundation that we need to set in the beginning part of it. And this is also the reason why we need help. Because all this information are not just gotten from the beginning. We don't know all this in the beginning. It is when we begin to talk to experts like you who have gone the road before. Because I want to believe that even you, as you are starting, you don't just have all this information, but you are in the process. So in the process, you understand this thing, what needs to be done, so that other people do not make these mistakes. Yeah, we don't need help.
Well, this is the thing. This specific area of interest came out of me making those mistakes in the first business. So in my first business, I had a team. Like we employed 15 people, and you'd think then if I had 15 people employed that the business was not reliant on me, but it was wholly and solely reliant on me. And actually, if I was taken out of the business, nothing would run. Nobody knew how to do anything at any point. And the eventual point where I had to sell the business, it was by force, not by choice. And it was because I needed to be taken out of the business, and I knew that taking me out of the business meant the business wasn't going to be able to continue and it wasn't going to be able to function. There was no way that would have been possible. And it was because I was having a baby. I learned all those lessons. This time round, I had a baby last year in September. And to be fair,
Congratulations.
I didn't take a thank you. I didn't have a year off, which actually probably would have been preferable. But I was able to take 4 months off, and the team took care of it. Like the team took care of it. What the team couldn't do, the automations did. I wasn't doing specific client sessions, but everything else was still ticking along. I had digital products that was being sold. I had a program that I launched. Was it? Maybe I think it was the week that the baby was born, and I trained other people to deliver it for me, and they went and they delivered it for me, and it was fantastic. So I practice what I preach mostly. Are all of my internal systems up to scratch? No, but that's because I don't have a me to come and do it for me. So that same thing that I said before about outside eyes. So my team are supporting me in building up those systems. So even I had a meeting with a member of my team today, and we're speaking to her about building out some of the templates, etc. Because like often you're so deep in it that you're not going to be able to do it for yourself, which is where people like me come in.
Thank you for that. Now, talking of this documentation, are you saying everything that you are doing in the business that need to be documented, so at least you don't know how the system work, they know what to improve on, and then even sort of have a copy, the prototype of how you operate within your business? Is it everything in the business, or maybe there are some essential operation that you need to document? Can you help us clarify that?
So I would say if you're doing it yourself, start with the things that are integral to the smooth running of the business. So I would always say make sure that your finance systems are on point. It's funny, I saw a new client, well, it's an new client, it's an old client that's come back, who haven't started work yet, and I saw him yesterday and he was saying that he had an invoice that he needed to send to, it was a Sunday and the invoice was supposed to have been sent on the Friday. And I said to him, I don't understand people like you that you know that you've got money that you could claim and you're faffing around haven't sent the invoice. There needs to be a system for that. Once you get the purchase order, there should be a maximum time of 3 hours, and then the invoice is sent. It should never go past the working day. Send the invoice. So anything to do with sending invoices and receiving invoices, I would say start there, because you don't want to end up paying late fees, and you also don't want to forget invoices, which, as somebody that is very focused on getting paid, I just don't understand that as a concept. I see it time and time again. Anything that is kind of customer or client facing, because obviously you want to make sure that you're delivering a good service at all times, whether it's you delivering it or members of your team. I would say make sure that that stuff is all documented step by step. And it's not just about documenting it, it's about documenting it and then assessing it. How can we improve this? How can we improve the speed at which we're doing things? How can we improve the value? How can we automate? Is there anything within here that we can automate? So I would say, yeah, those kind of customer client facing stuff related to onboarding new clients, but also sales, because yeah, like cash is king. Without money, there's no business. So there's some of the key areas that I would say to focus on initially, but really you want to do it for your whole business. So with the Build My Business package that we provide, we map out everything. So there's step-by-step instruction for basically everything you do. And if there's not a step-by-step instruction, there's a standard operating procedure. There's a how-to video or audio. There is a checklist. There is a script. There is a strategy template. So for example, we wouldn't have a step-by-step process for how to do a marketing plan, but there's a template for a marketing plan that says, here, write this, here, write that, here, consider these things. So yeah, we do the whole thing, and then we create an actual manual, physical manual, as well as a digital version, so like a company wiki, where you can go in, how to write a press release, for example, and the document will come up and it's got a how-to guide for writing a press release, how to get press in the how to get into the press. The same thing will come up and it will say contact these journalists, search on here on Twitter and look for journal requests, for example. How to do a sales call. There will be a script that says do this. How to deal with pushback. It will be there. There'll be a workflow step by step, how to onboard a new client. Email, this happens, then this email is sent 3 days later, and then they need to sign this. If they haven't signed this, then a reminder will come. Everything step by step systematically is broken down, so that any given point, anybody should be able to come in your business and be very quickly onboarded, which is really important, but also be able to do their job without having to try and remember what you said to them 3 months ago. But also it works effectively for you as the founder as well, because you're busy. So there's times that you may forget things. So something that a lot of clients that come and work with me that tends to happen is somebody will make an inquiry, and maybe at that exact moment they can't deal with that inquiry, and then they forget to respond to the inquiry. One of the first things that I work with my clients on is that kind of sales automation, and making sure that that's robust so that you're not missing out on potential money. I was literally in the middle of one of my first audit sessions with a client the other day, and I was asking her around that, and she was like, oh my gosh, somebody inquired 3 days ago and I haven't responded. Now, she could go back, and I probably should check actually. She could go back and that person still wants to work with them. But in that 3 days, if they'd contacted somebody else, that other somebody else may have got in quicker. And now she's lost work because she's not got the system in place to say, or not to say, yeah, what to say. When an inquiry comes in, we add them to the CRM immediately. The CRM will set a 24-hour reminder email that will send to you to remind you to respond. But also there's a pre-written a pre-written email that it will send directly to the person that inquires, that gets them to fill out this form, so that you know when you call them what you need to be calling them and speaking to them about, because they've already given you the information. Something like that doesn't take that long, but it can save so much time and make you so much money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, there is another thing I would like you to speak on a bit, and it has to do with a strategy. What is business strategy? So I want to believe that maybe it's already part of what you are explaining now, but could you dive in more on that?
So it's essentially looking at, you want to achieve something. What are the kind of overall methods and methodologies that you're going to use to achieve whatever that end goal is? So, for example, a growth strategy would look at, we want to grow revenues by X amount by X time. We want to increase the number of clients that we have. Or maybe we want to increase the size of the team. Well, what are the strategies that you're going to employ to achieve that? So maybe we're going to look at going into new markets, because maybe there's not enough people within the current market that we're selling into to help us generate these additional revenues that we want to achieve. Maybe we're going to look at differentiation. We're going to look at doing things very differently so that we can take more market share from competitors. Maybe we're going to look at a pricing strategy. So looking at increasing our pricing, so it's kind of ahead of our competitors, so that we're seen as more high value and therefore more in demand. So it's looking at kind of what are the methods, I would say, probably the easiest way of explaining it, that we're going to utilize to achieve a long-term goal. So you can look at, as I say, growth strategy. It could be finance strategy, marketing strategies, and then you kind of, the strategy is the kind of big picture method, and then your kind of tactics are the small methods. So the things that you're going to implement to um, implement the strategy. So if one of the big kind of growth strategies, if we're looking at going into new markets, then one of the tactics could be, from a marketing perspective, to advertise in local press. One of the PR tactics could be to put on a competition on social media to get local interest and awareness. It could be that you want to become the kind of leading whatever that company is in that specific space. So we're going to merge with a competitor, so we're going to acquire a competitor, sorry, so that we can get all of their customers and clientele and reach a new geographic location. So yeah, that's kind of what that is in the most inarticulate way, but hopefully I made it clear.
Thank you. It's clear. It's very clear. It's clear. Uh, Now, you talk of system, and of course, I'm trying to see how it sort of overlap into the strategy, because now you're talking of the process, how the team function, how the team works. So you are essentially saying you need to develop this system, so that I'm trying to see a kind of a pitfall for people who might just look at a system from somebody and copy it and then try to put it in their own business. Uh, with that work, why would somebody need to avoid a thing like that, so that they need to develop their own system that will work for them?
Well, there's a few things. Number one of the things I always say is, anybody can copy anything that I do, but one thing they cannot copy is who I am. And a kind of integral part of my business is me and who I am and what I bring and the ideas and the brand that I have created. So you can copy kind of, you can look and see how I do certain things, you can copy it, but you're still not going to be able to do it as good as I can, because there's certain things that influence how I do things. For example, my experience of running my first business, the lessons that were learnt there directly correlate to the systems that I've implemented. My education, in terms of my business degrees, directly impact the systems that I've put in place and the things that I do. So you could copy it, but you don't have my secret sauce. One of the things that sometimes my clients get a little bit worried about is that um, somebody's going to come into their business and they've got this big manual, and then they're going to take the manual off and go and set up in competition or go and give it to a competitor. Again, they can do that, and that is something that you can be worried about. But actually, again, your brand and your uniqueness in terms of your kind of you in your business and you as the owner and founder of your business, nobody can take that. And if you're offering great value and offering a great service or a great product, if somebody else copies it, are they going to be able to offer the same great service or the same great product? The chances are probably not. If they needed to copy you in the first place, the chances are then no, they're not going to be able to. Now, short of somebody from the company actually taking stuff and going with it, it's very difficult to understand what somebody's back-end systems are. You can outwardly see some of the things that we do, but the behind the scenes system, step by step, this is how I do things. It's not possible to see that from an outside perspective. But also, this is why it's so important to make sure that you have a strong brand, that you have strong brand values, that you're communicating, that you have strong brand messages. So what I do is not wholly unique. There's many people that are doing kind of strategy, that are doing business support, that are doing systemization, but nobody's doing it saying the things that I'm saying. They're not doing it in saying the things in the way that I'm saying them. Like my brand is very strong in terms of a lot of the messaging. So I have lots of catchphrases, for example, think big, take action, keep pushing is something that I say a lot. Big boss energy is something that I talk about a lot. Big business energy is things that I talk about a lot. Like, so somebody can go and offer business systemization, but they can't offer all of that stuff as well. It's about confidence in, it's about confidence in your brand, confidence in the way that you deliver, confidence in the fact that you are operating within a specific marketplace also, and building loyalty, building trust, and demonstrating that you really care about what it is that you're doing. And I don't think anybody could copy that from me personally.
Thank you for that. Actually, I was really having that curiosity in that I was see a lot of value there in you able to build your system because now you know what works and what doesn't work. If a business B just copy your model, your system, or just copy your system, your mode of operation, and just try to apply it, they don't know how you got to your conclusion that this is a working system for you, which is based on your experimentation, based on number of failures, which led to your conclusion that say, okay, this is the way to operate in this certain situation.
Mm-hmm.
That when
Mm-hmm.
this is triggered, this is going to be the response. So a business just copy that. So is it even going to work for them? Would they know why it works? Because one thing is to work maybe for by chance. But do you know why it work? Because if you don't know why it work, how are you sure you know where you are going? So this is where
Mm-hmm.
actually I was sort of having the curiosity that maybe the best way is to develop the system because now it means you are experimenting. It means you are knowing what is working and you are knowing why also it's working. So you know you are really standing on the ground that you have a
Mm-hmm.
foundation.
Well, and this is what I'm saying. Like, I know what I do works because I've studied it, because I've lived it, because I've experienced it, because I've tested it and trialed it, and it's worked. So you're not going to be able to get all of that. If one of my clients asks me, how did you come up with this, Danielle? I can provide an explanation. If somebody steals that or copies that, they're not going to have that same explanation because they didn't do all of that. They haven't gone through the trials and tribulations and walked through the fire to get to the end destination.
Now, growth. Business are businesses, but some of them will never grow. How do you grow as a business? What are some of the strategy one need to put in place so that that business can grow? I know this is, of course, related to what you have already discussed before. So can you share something in line with that?
Well, the first thing is you need to have offers that people will buy. Like, if people are not buying, then you can't grow. Sometimes people think that they need to get more and more and more customers or clients, but actually, if you are charging £200 and it's costing you £200, if you get 10 more of those clients, you're still not making any more money. So are you really growing? Because the money's coming in, but it's going straight back out. So one of the things that I always say, if you're looking to grow, is you need to focus on profitability and your margins. Because actually, if I'm selling something at 200 and it costs me 200 to deliver, 10 more of those things is now just causing me 10 times as much stress. But actually, if I sold that £200 thing for £2,000 and I just did it once, I've already grown the business because I've grown the profits that are coming in. And I don't think that people spend enough time looking at the pricing, and even me. So as I said, I think accountability is so important. My business has been growing in terms of sales, etc., but the profitability wasn't growing to the level that I needed it to. I've got my new coach. I put my prices up astronomically. Actually, it was quite scary to do. And already this month, I'm seeing growth in terms of the cash in bank, like immediately. So looking at your pricing is something that you kind of really need to do. And then also looking at and this is part of that pricing conversation, but how do we generate more revenues without generating more work for ourselves? And I think that's an important area to focus on. And this is something I've been looking at for the last couple of years, which is why I've introduced a range of digital products. I create them once, I put them online. Now, as many people can buy them as many times as they want. I don't have to do anything further. It's all automated. They go onto a page, the page sells it to them, they buy it, they put the money in, it's sent to them via email. I don't have to do anything. So that then also enables growth because now I'm making extra money, but I'm not doing extra work. And that's really the focus of what I want to do. I want to make more money by doing less. And that's what I'm supporting other people to do. So growth for different people kind of is different things. Some people want to grow and have more staff. I don't know why. I don't want to do that at all. But growing from a point of profitability, so increasing those margins, and you can do that through, again, increasing your pricing, then enables you to do all of those other things because then you can hire more staff because you've got more money available to do so.
Now we're living in the age where tools are really playing a lot of importance in what we are doing. Of course, we have always used tools. Without tools, the pyramid of Egypt would not be built. Only that more tools are coming all the time. Now we are in the age of AI. Because if we are talking of automation, systemization, and being able to run some of the operation in your business while you are sleeping, it means there are tools to be able to take care of that. Otherwise, people are going to call you, hey, wake up. That is a call. Can you explain? How do you do this? So tell me about the tools that you operate or you recommend in businesses to help in the systemization or in the operation, as it were.
Well, one of the things that I tell all of my clients to get immediately is a customer relationship management tool. So that is a I don't want to say a software, but sometimes it's software, sometimes it's an app where you keep track of all of your clients and customers and their activity. And it's so essential that you have a good, we call it a CRM, a good CRM, because a good CRM will enable you to capture potential prospects, convert them into, well, not the CRM itself doesn't do this, but it helps track that process and it can automate elements within that process to take somebody from kind of an interested prospect to a converted sale and then to help retain them. So at the moment, previously I've been using something called Dubsado, which is great, I think, for service businesses, but we've actually implemented our own platform recently that includes a CRM tool within it. Um, Not that you have to use mine. Dubsado is a good one. Zoho CRM is pretty good. I think that, again, many small businesses, they put stuff in Excel spreadsheets or Google Forms. A Google form or a Google spreadsheet is not going to remind you to follow up on a sales call that you've had. It's not going to tell you that this client hasn't had a session in a month and therefore there needs to be some sort of follow-up. It's not going to send feedback emails for you. A CRM tool can do all of those things and so much more. So I would definitely recommend having a CRM tool. Some form of kind of task management tool is really useful as well. I use Trello. I absolutely am a Trello evangelist. I'm always telling everybody to get Trello. It's it's freemium, so you get free up to a certain level, and then you can pay for a premium version of it. But it's great for kind of listing out tasks, setting deadlines, allocating tasks to members of your team. You can attach documents to it. You can have checklists within it. You can have automations within it. So every time this is done, then this happens over here. Trello is fantastic. I know other people use Asana Mondays. I have a few clients that use Asana on Mondays. I don't like either one of those, but they say that they're good. So, but Trello is definitely something that I think is really useful. And then also having a good finance tool. So I use QuickBooks. Um, QuickBooks syncs with the CRM also. So if somebody pays me via the CRM, it updates and syncs with my QuickBooks. And QuickBooks, you can get reports. You can do invoices within QuickBooks, actually, even though I don't, but you can. And it has lots of functionality. So they're the three: CRM, kind of task stroke project management, and a finance tool were the top three things that I'd say you definitely will need and should have.
Is there maybe some of this CRM that maybe might cover all the process so that, because one of the excuses you will have from some, particularly some small businesses now, is that, okay, that these are expensive and these are extra expenses for me to run, particularly maybe when they are not making enough money in the initial stage of it. Are there some of these tools that need to be prioritized? And maybe, okay, if you don't have enough money, but you can get this and this, they can still take you there. Or maybe that is a software that is able to take care of all of them at the same time. I don't know if that is any experience you can share in those areas.
Well, my one, our
I love
platform,
that.
our platform does all of the above. Um, and also I think I'm sure it's with Zoho. With many of the CRMs in particular, you can get a certain number of clients or records, as you would call them, for free before you have to start paying. And actually, you can get like I'm sure the Dubsado one is like £35 a month or something. It's not that expensive. Um, and with Zoho, not that I'm saying you should go to Zoho, you should come to me. But if you didn't want to come to me, Zoho has a range of different offerings that come under a range of different areas. So I know there's Zoho CRM, I'm sure there's Zoho People for like managing your teams. There's a lot that comes under that. But as I said, my platform has a CRM, it has a course builder, it has a landing page builder, it has a funnel builder. It has social media, what do you call it? Posting scheduler, social media scheduler in it. Like it has a lot of things. So I would recommend that you just come to me and then you pay one fee and it does all of the above.
Good. We'd love to talk more about your platform. Explain to us more about that. That is important.
For years, I've been working in this space and providing guidance to my clients about how they can be more efficient in their businesses, what tools that they can use. And often I'm recommending them to go over here and use this CRM or look at these three. Go and look at these three task management tools. Go and look at these three funnel builders. Go and look at these three. And actually, last year, me and my team were looking at our growth strategy. And one of the key things that we wanted to do is we wanted to build our own software platform that essentially does all of the things that we tell our clients to go and pay somebody else for. And but we know that building software takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of money. So we looked at what is available that we can invest in and utilize. So we worked with an organization who helped us do a kind of more stripped down version, and that's what we're offering. But the stripped down version is still pretty expansive. And what we've been doing over the last 6 to 8 months is testing it out and trialing it ourselves. So, for example, last year, I built our first online course, and I've been utilizing our new platform to kind of put the course within, if that makes sense. And we're going to be bringing new participants onto the course over the next few weeks because we are confident now that the course builder element works. We had sales funnels for our digital products on a competitor's kind of funnel builder that costs quite a lot, like £99 a month. So now within our platform, it's got its own funnel builder. So now we're putting all of the funnels that we've created through our own platform. We've been using Dubsado for CRM to kind of acquire leads, to take them through the sales process, and then also to kind of keep track of clients as we're working with them. Now our platform has that CRM function, which I love. So somebody applies to work with me, It's got all of the automated sequences, so they get the automated emails. I can also, when I have a client session, I can write notes. I can attach notes if I want to, and then I can set reminders for tasks. I can have their information. I can send text messages through this platform. I can also integrate with the social media. So if I can get their social media account, I can send stuff through the platform on an automated basis that goes to them and could go to their email and could go to their phone. So there's lots of functionality within it that just blows my mind, to be honest. But it means that now we can offer an even more comprehensive service, because now I'm building out, I'm telling you what systems you need, and we're mapping out your processes. And I'm saying, well, you need a sales funnel. Okay, we can build one in our platform. Okay, you've got your online course that you want to launch. Okay, we can put that into the platform. You don't have a CRM? Great, you can use our CRM. So it's going to help us with the growth of our business by adding more value. Because one of the things that quite a few of our clients for this specific service often said is the same kind of thing what you're saying. It's so expensive. We've got to have all of these different tools. It would be so much easier if we had everything in one place. Well, here is everything now in one place. So it just adds value also to the package that we're offering. In addition to, you can do it as a standalone as well. You don't need to do that package. You can just
So by this CRM now, and this content management system and also customer management system, I think both of them are here there in the same. So is it like a click funnel or things like maybe people are used to like system IO, something like that? Could
yes,
you
yeah.
could you like expand more on that? I think it also would be important. Like, what kind of businesses can leverage this? They can leverage this platform.
Well, we specialize in working with service businesses. So, yeah, it's really primarily for service businesses, particularly those that want to productize their services, because you can have your funnels within it, your sales funnels. If you've got a digital product, whether that's like a downloadable, a webinar, an online course, you can create a landing page within it. You also can then have all of your email automations. You can see and track people's usage. You can take payments. It's integrated with Stripe. You can take payments within it. You can build your website on it. So it does a lot of things that many of the others do, but all in one specific place.
Well, you didn't tell people the name. How can they find it online, and what is it cost? Can you say something about
Not at the
that?
moment. Yeah, so at the moment we're doing a soft launch with our existing clients over the next kind of month, and then at the end of May we'll be then announcing it kind of a little bit more publicly for external people to sign up. So we're looking at kind of an early bird rate of between 49.99 per month, and then that will go up to 99.99 a month, and then 149.99 a month, depending on the level of functionality that you require, because not every business is going to need everything. So yeah, at the moment you can't find it online, but once we do the full launch, after we've onboarded all of our existing clients, then you'll be able to go on my website and click and go straight through. And the website is the business website, which is bethebossintl.com.
If the people want to learn more about you, where can they find you? And tell us more about also some of your services that you want people to sort of get hold of. The first one.
So yeah, so the Build My Business package is the one that we're pushing the most at the moment. So that's where it's kind of a done with you service where we will, over a very short period of time, we will go through, systemize, well, document and map all of the processes within your business to then look at where key systems and tools need to be incorporated. We'll look at automations. We will help to create all of the resources. So your checklist, your how-to guide, your standard operating procedures. The aim of so that's all the features, but the benefits are what we're really trying to focus on is taking everything out of your brain and putting it into a cohesive format that you can utilize to onboard new clients. If you wanted to sell the business, you can use this as an asset to increase the price that you can charge. If you were looking for investment, it demonstrates to investors that the business is not vulnerable, because if you, for any reason, were taken out of the business could continue because everything is mapped and documented. It also, kind of the main aim is to help your business run more efficiently, and make it more profitable, and also give you time to be able to step out of the business as and when, to take a holiday. Like a lot of the clients that we work with, they say, I just want to be able to take a holiday without having to check my emails and be working on the beach. And that's what the Build My Business package enables you to do. So you give us 2 hours, we'll give you back 4 to 12. If you give us 12 hours, imagine how much time you will get back. And that's what we do. We're trying to help you reclaim your time, but also make more money by doing less. That's really the focus. And then also we are launching very soon our Visa growth program. And that's, so Build My Business is for kind of businesses really that are kind of at that kind of 6 figures, and they're trying to scale to 7 figures. They're feeling maybe overwhelmed, got too much going on, staff are underperforming, and they kind of need that structure, and they need the kind of systemization to help them get to the next level. With the Visa business growth program, that's specifically for more early stage business owners, maybe those that are just in the 5 figures, that really want to understand what they need to do and implement and embed within their organization to be able to grow to 6 figures. And this is a purely online program, and it's been designed and developed by myself using all of the expertise that I've developed over nearly 20 years in business, and using proven tools and tactics that have helped me take clients from like 15,000 turnover to 1.7 million turnover. So it's a fantastic program, if I do say so myself, and we are relaunching it because we launched it once and we've made some tweaks, and we're going to be relaunching it again in May. I'm not sure when this is going out, but we'll be relaunching that in May, and that is kind of what we're going to do. So they're the 2 things that we're pushing the most at the moment.
So, of course, people can find this by going to your website.
Yes, which is bethebossintl.com. So that's bethebossintl.com. I'm also very active on Instagram, which is at bethebossintl. And I'm also very active on LinkedIn as Daniella Genas, and that is Genus with a G, not with a J.
Okay. All right. So, Daniella, now, what would be your final thought here to conclude the conversation that we have had today? I think it has really been very interesting. It has really been very valuable here, or at least from the way I'm seeing it from my end. I believe that is how other people are going to see it too. Please conclude it in your own way.
Well, I always conclude with the same thing. If you are in business, I really implore you to think big, to take action, and to keep pushing. I really implore you to take a moment to really consider what it is that you want, and allow yourself to think big, to really consider what you need to be taking action on to enable you to achieve the vision and the goals that you want. And that may be taking action on building the systems. It may be taking action on hiring me. And to keep pushing. In business, we face obstacles, we face roadblocks, and it can be difficult and it can feel quite overwhelming. And I really just want to encourage you to keep pushing it beyond your present circumstances.
Thank you so much, Daniella. It has been a pleasure listening to you here. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, sister.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.